So I'm thinking to myself, what is going to be the future of human interaction, of conversations? Obviously, there's AI and the evolution of AI. Some people know about voice assistants, Alexa, Siri, all of that. And then there is OpenAI, a GPT voice mode. And I'm thinking to myself that how is the evolution of human communication, getting information, debate, and all that going to evolve over time? And I'm really kind of curious how the OpenAI voice mode actually works or how it can actually replicate a conversation. So today I'm going to play around here and actually have a conversation here. I would say a random conversation, but something that I've been thinking about, and see how that's going to go quickly here with ChatGPT's voice conversation mode, and see how that goes. Let's check it out. Hello.
Hey there, how's it going?
It's all right. I'm here to have a conversation with you about something that's on my mind.
I'm glad you're here. What's on your mind? Feel free to share.
Before I get into that, how would you like to be referred as?
You can just call me ChatGPT, or if you prefer something else, I'm open to suggestions. What feels right to you?
Oh, suggestions. So I can give you any name?
Yep, you can totally give me any name you like. What name are you thinking of?
Osage.
I like it. From now on, you can call me Osage. What's on your mind today?
I said Osage.
Got it, Osage it is. What do you want to chat about?
Okay, I would also like to be referred to specific way as well.
Of course. How would you like me to refer to you?
You can call me by my name, Chitru.
Got it, Chaithru. What's on your mind today?
Hi, Osage. I said Chitru.
I see. You'd like me to call you Cheat Through, right?
Chitru. Okay, that's good enough. Can you say that again? Chitru.
Cheat Through. Got it. How's everything going?
Oh, that's close enough. I actually appreciate you making a second attempt with my name. But yes, everything is going fine. I'm curious. Wanted to have a conversation about an interesting topic for me. Can you try to explain to me why the conservative leader in Canada, Pierre Poilievre, can still run for an MP seat after losing his current seat in Ontario?
I'm glad everything's going well. That's an interesting question. So, in Canada, it's possible for someone like Pierre Poilievre, even if he loses his current seat as an MP, to still run for another seat in a future election. Here's why. In Canada, there's no law preventing a person from running for a seat in Parliament if they've lost their previous one. Poilievre is a political leader, and even if he's lost in one riding, electoral district, he can run again in a different riding in the next election. What matters is his eligibility. He needs to meet the basic qualifications, like being over 18 and being a Canadian citizen. Also, Poilievre could be chosen by his party to run in a new riding as the Conservative candidate, and voters would get to decide whether or not to elect him. So it's more about the election process and not being tied to one specific seat. Does that clear things up a bit?
No, not exactly. Why are candidates not restricted to a specific riding when they actually run for seats for an MP?
Ah, I see what you're getting at now. Let me explain it a bit better. In Canada, candidates for the House of Commons are chosen to represent a specific riding, electoral district, but they aren't restricted to one riding forever. If a candidate loses a seat in one riding, they can still run in a different riding in future elections. The reason for this is based on the nature of the Canadian electoral system. Members of Parliament MPs aren't tied to a specific riding by law. Instead, they represent the people of whatever riding they're elected in. So, if a candidate loses in one district, they can choose to run in another riding in the next election, as long as they meet the legal eligibility requirements. In Poilievre's case, even though he lost his seat in Ontario, he could still run in a different riding. The idea is that the system allows candidates to have a second or third, etc., shot at being elected, so long as they are nominated by their party to run. Does that clear it up more?
Not exactly. So what are the conditions for running the riding? I would think that residency or how long you've lived in an area or something would make you eligible to represent a group. How is the Canadian system not putting that into consideration?
You're right to think that residency or how long someone has lived in a particular area might be a factor when it comes to representing people in a specific riding. But in Canada, the rules around running for a seat as an MP are actually quite broad. And while residency can play a role, it isn't as strict as you might expect. Here are the conditions for running in a riding. 1. Eligibility. To be eligible to run as an MP in Canada, you have to be a Canadian citizen, at least 18 years old, not disqualified, for reasons like being a convicted criminal or holding certain public offices. 2. Residency. Technically, you don't have to live in the riding you're running in at the time of the election, but you must be able to prove that you live in Canada. In practice, though, it's common for candidates to live in or near the riding they're seeking to represent, because voters generally want someone who understands their local issues. However, there's no strict requirement that a candidate must have lived in the riding for a certain period before running. They could be a political figure or leader from outside the area, and they could still run for a seat there. 3. Nomination. Political parties typically nominate candidates to represent their party in each riding. The party usually chooses a candidate based on various factors, like political experience, popularity, and sometimes even their ability to win in that specific riding. 4. Voter choice. Ultimately, it's up to voters in that riding to decide who they want to represent them in Parliament. Even if a candidate isn't from the area, they can still run if the local people vote for them. So, while residency can play a role, there's no rule that says you have to have lived in a riding for a specific amount of time to run for office. The idea behind this is that it's about the candidate's ability to represent the values of the people, not just their geographic location. Plus, political parties can choose candidates based on their national profile, which is why you sometimes see leaders like Poilievre running in different ridings, even if they're not originally from that area. Does this help explain it?
Yes, that definitely does help explain it. But I would like to know, has anyone ever brought up any bill motions to look into the system ever in the House, like for the MPs, the members of Parliament, or it's just not something that anybody cares to talk about?
It's great to hear that it helped clarify things. As for whether anyone has ever brought up bills or motions to change the system regarding MPs and residency requirements, it's an interesting question. To be honest, this issue hasn't been a major focus in Canadian parliamentary debates. But it has been touched on from time to time, especially when there are concerns about carpetbagging, where candidates from outside a riding try to represent it, often for political advantage. The most notable discussions usually come up when a well-known political figure or party leader decides to run in a riding that's far from their home base. There have been discussions in the past about whether candidates should have stronger ties to the community they represent, and whether the residency requirement should be stricter. But these discussions tend to be more of a political concern rather than a legislative one. Most politicians agree that voters should be able to decide who represents them. Changing the rules around residency could limit people's options to run, which could also be seen as limiting democratic choice. That said, there have been minor adjustments over time to ensure fairness in how candidates run, such as rules around the nomination process, campaign financing, and what kind of support a candidate can receive from outside a riding. But a formal major change in residency requirements hasn't been a big priority or fully proposed in Parliament. It's not that nobody cares about the issue, but it often falls into the realm of political strategy rather than formal legislative reform. Voters themselves have the power to choose their representatives, and as long as the laws allow candidates to run, the focus tends to shift more to campaigning and winning votes.
Okay.
Does that give you a better picture of how the system has been approached?
Yes, that gives me a better picture of how the system has been approached, but that also kind of makes me think that it's more of a political thing not to talk about it. I don't know if this is actually in the interest of the people in the ridings, or more of political positioning. But I would think that the current situation with the conservative leader right now sheds a light on it. Can you explain to me exactly the riding in Alberta that Pierre Poilievre is looking to actually literally run a by-election to try to get back into an MP position?
You're absolutely right. There's definitely a political element to this whole issue. Political positioning often plays a big role in whether or not certain reforms or ideas are brought up. As you mentioned, the situation with Pierre Poilievre could indeed shine a light on this, given his prominence in Canadian politics and the attention his actions attract. As for the riding you're referring to, Pierre Poilievre is planning to run in a by-election in Carleton riding, which is located in Ontario. Carleton is significant because it's a riding that Poilievre has previously represented. Here's a bit of context. Poilievre has been the MP for Carleton since 2004, so it's a riding he has deep ties to, and he's built up a strong political base there. In fact, he's been quite a prominent figure in the Conservative Party, serving in various leadership roles, and has made a name for himself nationally.
Just 1 second.
The by-election is happening because Poilievre vacated his seat when he became the leader of the Conservative Party in 2022. This is a normal move, a leader stepping down from their seat while they focus on leading the party. In this case, after losing his seat and focusing on his leadership role, he is now looking to reclaim a position as an MP in Carleton. So Poilievre is now running in a by-election to return to his seat as an MP after being the leader of the party, which is a pretty interesting dynamic. It highlights a mix of both party leadership and local representation, where even though he's been a national figure for years, he is seeking re-election in the same riding where he's built his political career. Wait a minute. You're right to feel that this situation may bring more attention to the issue of how MPs are tied to their ridings or not. It could raise questions about the importance of residency or how political figures can represent areas they may not be physically tied to anymore. Does that clarify the situation with the by-election and Poilievre's role in it?
Not exactly. They did lose last elections as well, but I'm curious about the storyline about somebody else dropping out for him to actually try to get a new MP position in the riding. Can you expand on that?
I see what you're getting at now. You're referring to the fact that Pierre Poilievre is seeking to return to Parliament, but there's more to the story with someone else dropping out to allow him a shot at running in a particular riding. Here's the situation. Poilievre's last election loss was in 2021, where he did not win in the Ottawa area riding of Carleton, which was surprising because it was considered a strong Conservative seat for him. However, instead of immediately giving up his MP position, Poilievre took on the leadership of the Conservative Party, focusing his energy on building the party's presence across Canada. What happened next was key. David Brown, a local Conservative figure, had represented the riding of Carleton in Parliament before Poilievre did, but he dropped out of the race for the Conservative nomination for the 2023 election. This created an opportunity for Poilievre to return to his political roots and the riding where his influence has been significant. The timing worked out for him because he had political momentum.
Timing?
Poilievre's leadership of the party and his standing in the conservative establishment likely played a part in David Brown stepping aside. While Brown's exit wasn't entirely about Poilievre running again, it allowed him the space to get back into the riding without having to challenge the current MP there, which would have been a more difficult political battle.
Yeah, that's
This
fine.
is Hamkablo.
We can move
This
on.
move made sense for Poilievre for a few reasons. One, Carleton is considered a reliable conservative seat, and Poilievre has a strong local following. Two, Poilievre was still seen as the party's leader, and running in this riding helped solidify his standing. So essentially, David Brown stepping down allowed Poilievre to enter the riding again and reclaim an MP position without having to go through a full contest with an already sitting conservative MP. This situation brings up some interesting points about political maneuvering and how party figures sometimes rely on strategic moves like this. It's not uncommon in politics, but it does raise the question of whether it benefits.
Okay, so I think there were a few interesting things that happened with this. You can get real quality information. You can try to pass on your notes if you're talking to a voice activated. I think it does a pretty good job of interacting with you, but it's not going to shut up and it's going to finish saying what it has to say, at least for now. Until, of course, I can figure out how to stop it in its tracks. But that didn't seem to happen in this clip. Anyway, I just thought to see, one thing is very clear, human-to-human interaction is still going to be valued. It's very tough to talk to an AI programmed, some people would still love this, but yeah, the inability to properly go back and forth would be an absolute challenge. I thought that was kind of interesting, just my first time actually messing around with that. Let me know what you think. I think it's interesting in the sense that not probably something that I would enjoy. It might actually catch along. Definitely to get information would be a thing, but sitting down and having a full conversation, that might still take a while to get on there. If you think I'm crazy for thinking this might not fully work in terms of getting people super addicted, let me know in the comment section. But I also totally see how some people might prefer not being interrupted or getting all the full information rather than deal with the in-person part of a conversation, or as you would say, this might actually have more accurate information than when you're trying to get information from somebody. That might actually be a thing, but we'll see how it goes. But I thought that was actually interesting. I thought the fact that it's actually trying to pronounce my name was kind of interesting. I appreciated that for some reason. Didn't really get it right, but the attempt actually counts. Let me know what you guys think. AI is here. It's going to be used in several ways. Catch on or get left behind.